Formula E has a couple of new teams for this season 5, starting at the end of 2018 in December, running through until middle of 2019. One of those new teams is the 11th team, HWA, brand new entry. The other, of course, is a team that has taken over from the most successful team in Formula E's short history. That team, of course, was Renault. The team that have replaced it is Nissan. So why have Nissan decided to get involved in Formula E? Roll the sting. Well, I'll tell you one of the reasons that Nissan have got involved in Formula E, and it is this. It's the Nissan Leaf, the world's best-selling electric vehicle. They have sold nearly 400,000 of these things globally, which is a huge number for a brand new technology that these things are. They are the car that's had the biggest take-up, the biggest number of sales of any manufacturer of any car all around the world. And that means that Nissan are by far the world's leading electric vehicle manufacturer. And that means that being involved in the Premier Electric Racing Championship is an absolute must. This may well be absolutely class leading in terms of its popularity, in terms of its sales, but there is a whole host of competition coming through the ranks very, very quickly in the wider automotive world, and Nissan cannot afford to get left behind. So Formula E is a great place for them to start honing expertise, to start delivering technology that can perform at a higher rate, at a faster rate, under greater pressures, under greater strain, that can deliver something that their customers of the future will expect and demand, because if they can't get it from Nissan, they're going to go elsewhere. You can't take an engine from a Formula 1 car and put it directly into a manufacturer's road car. It just doesn't work. The design of a Formula 1 engine is so far removed from anything that's currently drivable on the road. The tolerances are too fine. The lifespan is just too fine, too short. The usability, it's not drivable in road-going, normal day-to-day conditions. With Formula E, though, that's very, very different. You can absolutely take hardware, motors, parts of the drivetrain out of a Formula E car and put it directly into your manufacturer's road car 100%. In fact, we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen in both directions, in fact. You may or may not know that every single car on the grid in Season 1 of Formula E was powered by a motor originally developed and designed for the McLaren P1 road car. The durability was there in that original design. The performance, of course, was already there. The energy density within that Formula E that McLaren motor. It was a really easy switch to take it out of one and put it into the other. We've seen it going in the opposite direction. Renault have been using some of their Formula E technology in some of their future electric concept cars. It's a very, very easy switch, and that makes it super attractive for manufacturers to start getting involved in this sport, because the feedback into their core business is so much greater than it would be if you went into other motorsports like Formula 1. Not to mention the cost being an awful lot less. On top of the hardware, of course, the software, the understanding, the learning that goes into running these electric drivetrains in Formula E is of massive benefit to an automotive manufacturer. We have seen Renault make huge, huge strides. It's no coincidence that they were the most successful team in Formula E's 4-year history so far, because they put a huge amount of effort into data analysis, into software development, into understanding the systems, maximising those systems, getting the best usage out of them. And those are all the key things that a road car manufacturer needs to do in this emerging world of electric vehicles. So whilst Nissan may well have already the world's best-selling EV right here in this Nissan Leaf, Very quickly the world is moving on. This particular area of the automotive industry is moving at a faster pace than it's ever moved before. This technology and this software, hardware and software, have never been put into the high pressure competitive environment of motorsport before now. And that means that this Formula E is exactly the place where road car manufacturers need to be, because the learning and development of all of those systems happens so much more quickly in that competitive high pressure world. That's why Nissan need to get involved. The engineers, the software engineers, the control system engineers, the data engineers from within the Formula E paddock are rapidly becoming very, very high value assets. Because up until now, those kind of roles, those experts just didn't exist. When Nissan designed and developed this particular car, when no other manufacturers were really in that side of the marketplace, well, Nissan had to train and develop those engineers from scratch. There are very few of them out there, but they are highly sought after as every other manufacturer desperately scrambles over each other to start launching electric cars to the market. So Formula E is becoming a hotbed of talent. Nowadays, a road car manufacturer almost can't afford not to be involved in Formula E. The other reason, of course, that Nissan have had to get involved in Formula E is that motorsport makes motoring sexy. And let's face it, whilst this may be the world's best-selling EV, this Nissan Leaf, it's not the world's sexiest car. Now, it was never intended to be the world's sexiest car. It was designed to fulfill a job, and it's done exactly that very, very well. The sales are testament to that. But if you want to sell more and more cars, and if you want to extend your EV range through the entire range of Nissans, for example, you need to have a sexy side to your business. And if you can be successful in Formula E, that can bring that sexy side. The next question then is, can they be successful in Formula E? Well, why not? The people at the heart of this operation, the team running the team, if you like, are still from the hugely experienced, hugely successful DAMS organisation. The EDAMS side of what was Renault EDAMS is still the EDAMS side of what's now Nissan EDAMS. So the key operational staff are still there, the same key operational staff that had so much success with Renault in the past. The people running the cars, the engineers. So that means that knowledge, that understanding, that expertise and experience that has won them championships, many championships in the past, will still be there and applied now to the Nissan brand. So there's every reason to believe they can be successful. It's not come without its difficulties. The process of getting involved in Formula E and launching this Formula E brand, if you like, this Formula E team, has not been a particularly smooth one. They had a big launching their team and their two drivers, one of whom was Sebastian Buemi, Season 2 champion and perennial contender in general. But the second driver was Alexander Albon, a great driver, British Thai, really successful up-and-coming youngster who I think would have been great in a Formula E car, great for the championship. However, he's about to be announced as Toro Rosso's second driver in Formula 1. Toro Rosso came along after the big launch, after the big Nissan announcement, and have essentially stolen their driver. And that's not an easy thing for them to deal with. They've had to, in the background, constantly be working out a deal, and I'm sure they've had some serious recompense in exchange for getting him out of his contract. But having made this big fuss about who's going to be driving their two cars, they've now got to put somebody else in that. It's highly expected to be Oliver Rowland, and that would be great. Oliver Rowland is a great driver, he's a great guy, a really good fit for Formula E as well. So they're not going to end up with a duffer as such. They are going to end up with a very, very strong driver lineup, but it's not the driver lineup they originally intended. And at the top of all of that, the man at the very, very top of the Nissan Renault tree, Carlos Ghosn, was yesterday arrested over financial irregularities. So there are a number of things that this Nissan organisation has had to deal with, things that have been there to put off the smooth launch and the smooth running of this operation. But in little over a month's time, in December of this year, in Riyadh of Saudi Arabia, the cars will launch off the line. And at that point, all the talking stops. As they say, the bullshit stops when the flag drops. Only then will we see if this has been worth it from Nissan's point of view. Was it worth pulling a successful Renault out of the championship and putting in newcomers Nissan? Is it going to make Nissan sexy? Is it going to make them successful? Ultimately, are they going to sell more cars? Only time will tell if that is actually the case. And only time will tell if Nissan deem that to have been a worthwhile investment. And speaking of investment, Nissan are taking this seriously enough to have bought a stake in the dams operation that run the whole project. That shows a real sign of intent. They're not here for a very, very quick fix to their brand. They are here for the long run. They're here to make a good job of it. And that can only be good for Formula E and for us as fans, because at some point in the future, we might all be driving better, faster, sexier Nissans.